Alright, I've covered the offense, covered the defense. Now let's get into the special teams here on Dumb Down. To figure out what plays are considered special teams, you just need to keep an eye out for one thing: a kick. If a team is performing a kick, that play falls under the umbrella of a special teams play, regardless of if your team is the one performing the kick. And I'm going to go through the plays and break down the different positions that are introduced in special teams and what they might do on the special teams. Let's say your offense performed well down the field before sputtering out at the opponent's 30-yard line. In this situation, you would send out the field goal unit. The field goal unit is part of special teams that would attempt to kick the football through the air in between the goalposts. The goalpost is the upright yellow post at the back of the end zone on both sides of the field. Kicking the football through the goalpost will give the kicking team 3 points. For a field goal attempt, 9 players line up along the line of scrimmage, and a kicker and a holder line up behind the center. On special teams plays, a center is often referred to as a long snapper, and it is sometimes a different player than the team's usual center. This is due to the extra distance the player needs to snap the ball. The holder takes a kneeling position on the ground when they receive the snap, and the holder is usually the team's punter, a position I will cover shortly. When the holder receives the ball, they quickly place it on the ground, and the kicker will have a running start, then kick the ball, trying to put it through the goalposts, resulting in 3 points if successful. Now, from the opponent's point of view, if the opponent send out the field goal, then your team will respond with the field goal block unit, an apt name. On a field goal block, typically the defending team will load up the line of scrimmage to try to block the kick, while still having a couple of players be cautious to not allow a fake field goal attempt. A fake field goal attempt is when the kicking team doesn't actually kick the ball, but tries to pick up a first down on the play using a variety of trickery. New scenario. Let's say that you're back on offense and you fail to pick up a first down, but you're at your own 35. This is too far to attempt a field goal, so you would instead send out your punt team. Punting the ball is conceding points on this drive, but the point of punting the ball is to help your defense by putting the opponents farther away from your own end zone. For a punt, the punter stands alone, roughly 10 to 15 yards behind the long snapper, and will catch the ball from the snap, and then drop it onto his leg as he swings it, completing the punt. So, if your team sends out the punt unit, the opposing team will send out their punt return unit. The punt return is set up in a way to have players blocking for the return man. That way, he can make up the yardage that the ball has traveled during the punt. Another thing the defending team can do is send out the punt block unit, which, don't get me wrong, is usually the same set of players as the punt return unit, but their job is now to block the punt before it leaves the punter's legs. On punts, the kicking team has 2 players out wide, called gunners. Their job is to run down the field and be the first players to get to the defending team's punt returner. The punting team can also utilize fakes as well, usually with the punter throwing the ball or one of the blockers taking it to rush for a first down. There are 2 more aspects of the special teams to consider: the point after touchdown and the kickoff. The PAT can be explained simply as a field goal that happens after a touchdown, but is only worth 1 point. This kick is at a set distance, a 33-yard field goal, and it happens after touchdowns if the team does not elect to go for a 2-point conversion. The PAT is also referred to as a 1-point conversion. If the team elects to go for a 2-point attempt, the offense stays out on the field, and the only thing that really identifies this as being a special teams play, due to the fact that there isn't a kick involved, is the fact that it is not a timed play and it is a set distance from the goal line. The final aspect to consider is the kickoff. Kickoff rules just changed, so here's the details on that. On a kickoff, the kicking team has their kicker kick the ball from their 35-yard line, and the rest of the team lines up at the opponent's 40-yard line. The returning team will line up at their own 35, and when I say line up, I mean line up. They space themselves evenly along the width of the field so they can best defend for the return. 1 to 2 returners will line deep and look to return the kick. The real twist comes with the landing zone in these new rules. The landing zone is where the ball must land, or else the kicking team will face a penalty. The landing zone is the space from the 20-yard line to the end zone. So if the ball lands here, the kicking team faces no penalty. If the kicking team sends the ball into the end zone, the ball will be placed at the opponent's 35-yard line for the start of the returning team's drive. Now, if they undercut it and the ball does not reach the landing zone, the ball is then placed at the returning team's 40-yard line, incentivizing returns. Another thing the team can elect to do on a kickoff is an onside kick, which is a play designed to give the kicking team possession of the ball immediately after having a scoring possession. In this instance, the kicking team aligns alongside their kicker at the 35-yard line, and the opponents line up at the 50-yard line. The kicking team can only recover the ball if it passes 10-yard mark from the 35-yard line, or the 45-yard line. If a player from the kicking team gains possession of the ball prior to someone on the return team, the kicking team gets the ball at the spot of the tackle. However, if the team that is returning it recovers it, then they also recover it at the spot of the tackle, giving them great field position. The other rule with the onside kickoff is that it can only be attempted if a team is trailing in the game, so you won't see this coming in blowouts or when your team has the lead. Rare instances of special team plays include a punt block, which is essentially the punt version of a field goal block, and the field goal return, which once again is akin to a punt return but on a field goal attempt. These are more self-explanatory and circumstantial in when they actually occur, so I won't cover them deeply here, but I do want to say thank you for tuning in to this Dumbed Down. Prior ones have done quite well, so I thank you all for your support on those, and I hope for your continued support and your continued viewership. And lastly, thank you all for watching.